But if you disappear and appear, so what does this guy do with his life? They don't know. But you're saying you're working. So sometimes it's just to appreciate and involve people in the things that we are doing so that they understand what it takes to be who you are. Because the challenges in life today are too many. Half of the time, the things that you're dealing with, a lot of other fathers or parents are also dealing with the same.
True.
But because we usually think our problems are the biggest ones,
True.
so we close ourselves up and try and sort them out on our own. Yet, as they say, there's nothing new under the sun.
True.
People have gone there before us. Well, apart from things like crypto, which are new, but so many other things that are not new. So people have been there before you. They know how to address some of the challenges you're going through. So sometimes it's to share and see how best can you be there for the people who matter in your lives. Because at the end of the day, jobs come and go, occupations come and go, but at some point you'll have to sit down and have a reckoning with yourself, like, what have I been doing with my time? So that's what I learned from my dad. He really involved us, made sure that we would understand, we would do campaigns, we would stick posters, we would go, we distributed money. I used
50-50,
to be given a trunk, like the ones we used to go with to high school. It's packed with money. They're told,
you have to give.
They have sent, I don't know how much. We couldn't count, of course. It was too much. So put it there and you're told, we're going for a rally. You sit behind the pickup there and people come. So you're told, everybody who comes, just give 50 shillings. Maybe 10 years old, 11 years old. Everybody 50. One of my other brothers is counting the people.
Older or younger brother?
No, older. I was the youngest at that time. So him is counting the people, me, I'm counting the money. So I just give 50 each. And the other guy is counting how many people. Then at the end of the day, yes, okay, so how was it today? We give a report. Hey, where we went.
So there's accounting and everything.
Yes. Where the center, this is what happened. And then it tells you, do you know what that means? Do you know what 50 shillings does for somebody? I don't know what that is. So me, I have no idea. He says, okay, look, 50 shillings is going to buy unga for that person. They're going to get oil. They're going to get some sugar. So at the end of the day, that family...
When 50 was 50.
When 50 was 50. That family will be able to, last like a week in some level of luxury.
That's like 50 cents US dollars for those who are listening.
Yes. So it is almost zero the way you look at it. But at that time, because of the value, it meant that we understood why this was so important to him and what our role was. What could we do to help in this? Because just sitting and saying, okay, how was it today? And then he tells you something, mumbles, you can't understand. People are many. What is people? I mean, many. What do you mean by many? Now when you're on the pickup there, you're the one distributing the money or giving out, helping out people, buying them lessons, distributing the head scarves for women, selling out the manifestos, giving out booklets, trying to recite the, loyalty pledge. Then you understand what it means to be Kenyan, what it means, what your role is in life. So you're just not here to go through life and exit at the other side, through a VPN. You actually have to leave some value. So that's
you didn't just say through a VPN.
To and from this side to the other. It gave me a sense of responsibility and ownership. Take up stuff where you can do something to help somebody else. Do. It doesn't matter what that person will do for you.
I have a question around the 50 shillings.
Yes.
And this is something else that I've picked up over time, how this politics is run. You give someone 50 shillings. Of course, if you do that every day for the campaign, say 6 months, and you're doing it even for a constituency, you're doing it for like how many wards? Maybe 5 or 6. In a constituency.
Those days there were many, but let's leave it at 5 or 6.
Right now they are not, because there was
split.
Yes. So that's a lot of money if you think about it. And sometimes the calculation goes that these guys give more than even they will ever get as salary for the 5 years they're in office. And there are people who argue that's form of corruption. For people to be influenced to give you votes.
Yes.
Also, there are other people who argue that this money is taken somewhere for rituals. So that once you take that 50 bob, you always vote for that person. I cannot deny, nor confirm about this. But there is all these arguments around giving people the quick solution as opposed to like serving them. Also, there are other people who look on the flip of the coin where they say, if you don't give these people money, they will not vote for you. But I think that is changing over time because you have seen guys who actually, even they're given transport to move from one ward from one ward to the other. And they become MPs. Like we have now Silisi MP. I think he's from around Kakamega. I can't recall his name right now, but the current Silisi MP. What do you think we can change this now that we understand that actually what is required is not a quick solution, is a long-term solution that actually these people become empowered as opposed to dependent?
Okay. So there's a theory around what we call the path of least resistance. When people find a way, they can do things in an easier manner. They will always take the easy way. We are human beings, regardless of what benefits they are on the long path.
And the reasoning.
Yes. Which is why even they say for like heaven and hell, the wide path has more people because it's the easy one. But to your question, you see, previously at that time, even I had those questions when I was growing up. So where is this money coming from? What does it do? But I realized at that time, the machinery was such that the ruling party, which was KANU, had so many resources around the country that they used to raise money. Parties actually did activities to raise money. KANU had, whether legally or not, the ownership of KICC at that time. So they used to raise money from rent. They used to sell all these farm inputs. They had a lot of outreach programs. They had field officers who used to do stuff like on behalf of the party. So here there's an area that, the president wants to grow agriculture. He wants to introduce Nyawe estates for coffee and tea. They would drive that kind of initiative under the party. So the party would raise money. Also, when everybody was, of course, you had to pay nomination fees. Now, there was no other party. So everybody in the country paid nomination fees to this one basket, one pot. So there was enough money at the end of the day to actually run campaigns without having to dig too deeply into your own pockets. Also, people used to sit and listen through campaigns and initiatives for if you have a manifesto, what you're trying to tell people. They would sit through because these things are resonating with their daily lives. How is this going to change my life? There's been a big shift. People sit through those things, and after time, everybody's waiting for the end of the rally to collect the money because they have appearance
saying
fees.
there is not important.
No, they have a sitting allowance. So they're coming to sit there. Once they finish, they queue, they finish. I ran a bit of a campaign for nomination this past campaign. I know that's 2022. It's come before you asked the question. And the challenge we had was that, yes, you map out a zone, you say, these are the people I'm going to speak with, and you go and you create some publicity around the event, and people come for the event. And at the end of the event, you have to. It's now given. You have to give out some money.
So what happens if you don't?
So what happens is they'll attend that one rally.
But next time you're calling people, no one will ever show up.
And the worst part is, these guys will attend this one. In the afternoon, your competitor has another rally. They have gone there.
It's a business.
Yes, in the evening when you say we'll be having a kikao somewhere at my home, they will be there. And you see now we have also motorbikes. It's very quick to move from one end to the other without people knowing. The biggest challenge was that you would find 40 to 50 to 60% of these fellows, number one, don't have a voter's card. Number two, those who have don't vote in your constituency. So you're giving money to these fellows, but none of them is reaching the ground because there's no impact. The fellow comes, attends your rally, you give him the 50, thinking it's reaching his mother and his other people, and he'll spread the word. But the people are not in your constituency, so they're not going to vote for you. So that is one of the challenges that we've had with a lot of money in the campaign trail. But the big problem is politicians themselves have pushed that kind of
and
mentality.
It's every other divide.
Yes, it's them who pushed it because they don't have content. When you don't have content, just come and shout, holler on the microphone there, shout a few slogans, make some noise, 2-3 slogans that are repeated over and over.
Movement.
Yeah, we will do this, we will do that, and then sit down. And then you just remove some weird utopian. We'll get the road. We'll put dual carriage. People clap, they're happy. Then you give money. If you ask any of those fellows, what did you hear today in the campaign? They cannot recall a single thing. They know that the guy came, we saw big cars and all.
And this is given some money.
Yes.
This guy is given a Jirongo, the other one is... You remember even that narrative back in the days where
that was
money was named after...
Jirongo. Yes. That was a politician. I mean, we understand the histories around it. But the big problem is, how do you make that mental shift? That mental shift goes back to what we started off with, education. The moment you realize I can do better for myself with what I have, you shift your thinking completely. You will not go spend a whole day in a campaign rally. Who are those who sit in those rallies? You ask yourself, when they're sitting there, where's the productivity? How is this country growing when every day we are in the campaign rally, every single day? So who's digging the farm? Who is taking water to the cattle? Who is who is building the houses?
Yes.
Nothing is happening.
Yes.
So it means in that period, we shut down the whole country. We just go into campaign mode. Now, because I'm not working, what do I expect? If I sit through your rally, you're going to compensate me for the time that I've been sitting here, because I never went to my farm today.
True.
I never, I never carried anybody today. So you pay for the time. And that's what has hidden the pressure until now. We're almost at breaking point. You cannot have a rally without people removing money. The other day, the president had a rally. I mean, that was as a national celebration. It was a challenge to get people to attend.
Yeah,
This is a national.
Uru Garden.
Yes.
So
October.
Even those rallies, people get paid.
Yes, because we are used to crowds and we don't know that there's mobilization that happens for these fellows to show up. But when it is happening, somebody has left something
I'm
else.
sure the president is not ignorant of that fact. But he's a good mobilizer.
But now in this
Since
case,
1992.
yes, in this case, there was no money being
So
paid.
he assumed
this is a national event.
Maybe someone decided to pay
We
themselves.
don't know. Either way, there was a very poor showing.
Yeah.
And this is coming soon after the election. You would expect that we are in euphoria, we are happy, we want to come and celebrate ourselves.
You voted him in.
We were seeing empty chairs. What does that tell you? Either we realized, indeed, the importance of my life is my people and make sure that my family is fed well and all. Or it could be that majority of the supporters were not from around the area, so they couldn't make it for the event because they were attending the county events in their respective rural areas. It could be that. But at the end of the day, we've commercialized so many things until it's hard for me to convince you to do anything for me just for the sake of nationalism, for the sake of patriotism, for the sake of a good heart. There's always what is innate in me for me.
So there's no selflessness in this.
There isn't. And that's what I usually say in my head. If my dad was to wake up today and run for he wouldn't even make it as an MCA. He wouldn't make it.
They say village elder.
He would not make it as an
village
MCA.
elder.
Because
leave alone MCA. Where someone just volunteers to just be reporting on what people.
And even those now, there's a bill in Parliament to pay village elders. I'm sure you've seen it. It's been introduced. They want now village elders to also be paid. I think it was 3 weeks ago.
Which makes a lot of sense because life also has become very, very... Yeah,
they probably do the
guys
most work.
who know that.
They're the ones who resolve the basic issues. But the challenge is, how do we get people to not need government? Because the less government you have in society, the better that society.
And there's growth.
Not the opposite. Now we want to bring government into everything. Yeah. This is where the challenge arises. If you want me, I pay. Every day I'm paying my taxes. I'm going to see the chief. I'm having to pay another everything.
You open
everywhere.
A business, there's 4 or 5 licenses.
Government is on you throughout. There's too much government in our lives.
Yeah.
That's why we can't live. And that's why we've centered so much of our activities around politics that there's little room for anything else to happen. So innovation is suffering. The things we could do as a country, there are a lot of them that are... We have thriving spirits in us that can make them happen. But then the brilliant minds that would be doing those things, where are they now?
They're leaving actually. And that's why I was almost saying that. Is that why entrepreneurs and innovators are leaving the country en masse? And even some of the engineers, because I deal with them a lot, they're also leaving because when you look at it, yes, you might work remotely and you're paid really well. But now government has an online tax. I don't know which other tax, pay tax, what not
They're
tax.
in everything.
So you ask yourself, it's not bad to pay tax. It's okay. But you ought to see where these taxes being
how is this
used,
helping me?
right? When you hear 5 billion has been stolen and someone becomes a governor, you're not encouraged. Because that's your money. In one way or the other, that's your money.
Yeah.
It's like someone stealing from you and you're told, we'll have to reward this person because they stole from you.
Imagine that.
It's a conversation I think we need to have more and more. And I think it's good to have you here as an entrepreneur and even speak about that because at the end of the day, we all want a better Africa. Not only even Kenya, a better Africa. And the only way to build that is by telling each other the truth.
Yes.
Because one thing that I think even most leaders, and you can tell me if your dad used to think like this, is that they think the more they amass to themselves, the better off they are. But I'm of the line of thought that if more people are more empowered and there is more resources that is equally distributed across the African continent, there's more even to pay you what you can steal.
Yes.
And it is sustainable because if you amass a lot to you, and what I think what people do, I don't know, you can tell me if your dad also did this, is that they take a lot of this money or resources or shambas and whatever. And then if it's money, they go and hide it somewhere, maybe say Switzerland or there was this other place in South America.
There's Cayman Islands.
Yes,
there's all sorts of places. Yes.
One thing they forget is that this money they're putting there is developing those places.
Yes.
And where they call home is not developed.
True.
And also they forget that, everyone has an expiry date. You like it or
Yes.
not? You will die, right?
Yes.
But do you think your children will actually have this and do something out of it? Of course not, because they learned from you, as you said. If you go with your dad and see, my dad was not this rich. Within 2-3 years, and right now you can do the calculation.
Yeah.
This guy became a billionaire. But the salary that they are paid in the businesses, you can always do the calculation. It doesn't matter. Of course, what does that do to your children? It shows them there's a shortcut. And they always strive to get a shortcut. Guess what? They're not as experienced as you. What happens? They either get depressed or they get caught or they die in the process.
Yes.
Whereas what you wanted to achieve is not possible.
Yeah.
So I think in the long term, just to conclude this analogy of politics and politicians, you can tell us if your dad, was of the different school of thought, is that it's more sustainable to build wealth together. Everyone, you empower everyone to build wealth, and there's enough for everyone.
Yeah.
But before we just conclude, which school did your dad subscribe to?
So
now that you are, and it's unfair to have this conversation about your dad.
No, but I'm the one who brought him up, so it's fine.
Yeah.
So I think those days, I think the politicians in the 60s, 70s, 80s, a lot of them were Pan-Africanists. That meant that they tried to look out for how can we grow together, because there was a drive around, if I just amass for myself, I have dependence for life.
Yes.
If I amass and build people around me, I free them and I give them that ability to go and grow other people as well. Yes. So one of the ways you can look at this is, for us, like at home, in my home country where I come from, home county, we don't have much security. Yeah. We've built houses, we've done this. We don't have high fences, we don't have electrical, this, that. People walk in and out of the compound anytime. Why? Because we have nothing to fear. Yeah. Because
there's
people could see, this person has gone out of their way to try and build each of us, take people to school. He was schooling at any one point between 70 and 100 children, anytime, paying fees for them out there and all. Sometimes I would be kicked out of school because of fees.
but the other children were not kicked out.
Yes, because I could use the name and I would get a few more months in school. The others don't have a name. Then it's either you pay the money or you don't pay the money. So he would pay the money there and come and say, he writes a letter to the teacher and say, we're going to pay. Please, you can take my word that we will pay fees. And he would pay, of course, because they understood that, there were a lot of challenges he was running with. But it extended to the point where even for moving around, never had guards, because there was nothing to fear. You're growing with the society, you're building up people around you. You have less things to worry about. As compared to when you amass yourself and become this king, the big man, now you need people around you to safeguard.
Like even right now, people work with I don't know how many cars.
You don't know how many years. But you say you are a man of the people and you're loved. Okay, then just let's mingle.
Yes.
Because I need to be able to come to you and say, look, hey, I have a problem. Can you assist me on this, that, the other? But if you put the blockades, what is this that to fear? And yet you're saying you're one of us. So if you're one of us, let's feel the pains together so that we sit and we can say, okay, how is the best way to solve this issue? And we come up with better solutions than me sitting up here and loading it on you, telling you this is what you need to do. Because you have no idea what's going on down here. So I think his train of thought or his school of thought was build the community. And the community becomes your security and your safeguard. Because they are the ones who will go out there saying, no, this is our person, this, that, which is what used to happen. Until when we got into this level of where there's so much commercialization, now even the community wants to be paid. But by then, people just gave of themselves. Let's go to a rally. You'll find people who are mobilizing. You'll have other people who are distributing pamphlets. You have other people who are providing security free of charge. They're just happy to be associated with a movement that is positive. Now, we need to get to a place where we can charge people up to that level. Because if you're working from the heart, you don't worry too much about what you're getting out of your work. If your work fast output, when you say in startups, fast output is the revenue. You lose all the other steps because your focus is only on the revenue. And when somebody else realizes that this is all you need, they'll provide that revenue for you and they kill you. The rest of the things, you have nothing else, no other substance.
I agree with
you. Didn't build that up. Even when you go to the politicians now, when you go to elections, as you're saying, an MP probably gets 60 million over the 5 years. Assuming he attends all the sittings, he's in all the committees, which is like maybe $1 million shillings per month. That's the official money, allowances and everything. 60 million. But MPs spend upwards of 60 million in the campaign.
Yes.
Probably 100 million.
Yes.
How are they going to bridge this gap?
Their
of the
first
40?
What happened? CDF. What was the name of that?
It was CDF. Now
CDF. The
it's still
first CDF done, or half of it.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
What do you expect? Even
Not
it's so bad until even the people on the ground understand. Our man has to eat fast. You have to eat fast. You have to return the money he has invested.
Yeah.
Why? Why do we do that? Because we've heightened expectations and the importance of politics so high up that we have to live off what it gives to us. It's like the biggest employer.
Yeah.
It is so sad when you get entrepreneurs, industrialists.
They want to be
going to politics.
Yeah.
Because we don't have enough brilliant minds left out here to do what they were doing. Now the guy goes and becomes an MP and he was running an industry. Who's going to run the industry?
It's done.
See, then he realizes the industry is so much work. This is much easier.
Yes.
Now he starts putting all the resources into this and the industry dies. The industry was supplying and supporting how many lives? Many. You have no idea how many of them.
Yes.
Now they are all sitting waiting at his gate. When he comes out, they need some payout, some handout. So that's the big challenge we have. Not just the brain drain for people going outside the country, but the brain drain of people coming out of deep occupations where you think to these microwave surface things, because as they say, they've reduced the profile of an MP to the extent that what do they go and do in Parliament? Some of them you'll never hear them for 5 years. Never. There are people who've never spoken, never given a maiden speech.
Yes.
But there's no law that says you kick him out.
Yes.
We had the law to say we can recall, we killed it. We had the law to say we need to set the margins and the caps for the salary. Yeah. We found a way to maneuver. Now we threaten the Salary Review Commission and tell them, hey, if we don't
touch that,
we'll disband you because we have the power to do it.
We're not finance.
So there we go.
It's so sad.
We have the structures are there, the systems are actually there that can work. This constitution that was built in was A1. It's not 100%, but it's close to 85. It has a lot of good things in there. We have refused to unlock its potential because we are still in the old school mentality, big man syndrome. What is in it for me? What can I eat? How can I build my profile? Not how can we move this country forward? How can we progress it? So that's the big challenge that we have. And it's a mindset that needs to change from the young people because they're the ones who are the leader. We used to be told we're the leaders of tomorrow. Yeah. Tomorrow came and passed.
So you are saying in this podcast that the leaders of tomorrow is just a mirage.
This is
because honestly, if you are like 10 years, you can choose to be selfless and start leading at that level.
Yes.
By the time you're 20, and I think this actually also applies in tech, whereby you start harnessing these skills at that young age. By the time you're 20, you are an expert in what you do.
Yeah.
The same way that I think even we should stop this analogy of you are the leaders of tomorrow, because it's a true lie.
It is.
Yeah, it is something that you can believe, but it will never happen.
It will never happen.
Because even people in their 40s, they are told, you're too young.
Yeah.
You should be.
You still have a few more years.
Yes, you need more experience.
Wait a minute.
Which actually never comes because dynamics change over time.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think, and of course you said this, that one of the aspects that we can address is the education, but to an extent where we need more than education because, of course, there's a bigger problem that is awaiting us. And I think we can see the impact right now. I used to tell some of my friends before COVID that, the restrictions, the lockdown and everything looks okay to address the problem right now. Mm-hmm. But we're going to pay for this for the next 10 years. And you can see it, not only in Kenya, but tech companies in US are laying off people. Mm-hmm. En masse, like 30% of workforce, you're told, you know what? The job that you used to do, we can't be able to pay you for it.
Yeah.
Sorry, here is a severance, see you. And that's going to happen for the next maybe, 8 years, 9 years to come.
Yeah.
What do you think we can do right now? Because you have to pay the price. We have no other option. You have to pay the price of maybe, 50 years since independence. Because I have seen, going through the histories, it's not something that just happened the last, government, with the last government. And I think Kibaki tried to address it in a way, all credits given. He tried to do it because when he said, at least the least educated person should be a class 8.
Yeah.
That actually addressed a lot of things.
Yes.
Because at least now someone can write, can speak, can understand. And that actually moves you from point A to B. Right now, as we sit here, and someone can correct me, I don't know of any free education. Someone can correct me maybe in the comment or whatever.
Yeah.
If you go to school and you don't pay anything in country known as Kenya, I want to know you. I want to know where that is because I don't know. Either you are paying, I don't know, 500 shillings for these.
Yeah.
I don't know, 500 for that.
Yeah.
In one or the other, there's some payments around it.
Yeah.
And they call it logistics. But at the end of the day, it's money.
It's money.
And 500, some people even right now is a lot of money.
Yeah.
There are people who get maybe 3,000 a whole month's salary. Someone has 2-3 kids. You can imagine if they can afford those kids. And it's really hard. So what do you think we can, or how do you think we can address some of these issues?
Look, I think there's, I don't want to be a defeatist, but there's a portion, there's a part of some generations that I believe there's nothing that can change for them. That it's done. I mean,
so you have just to wait until they
50, 60, 70 years. You are not going to change those people. You see, and they are the ones who are the owners of capital.
It's hard to teach. Is it? What do they say? It's very hard to. Yeah, new tricks.
Dog new tricks. Yes, but the challenge we have is when you look at even what do they produce? Those people, even not just the productivity for like resources, but in their own homes. What kind of children, for example, do they produce? Are you seeing like there's any shift between, somebody and the child? Is the child any better than the parent and all? So it has to start from that family level. If we have found a way to live within our means, we are told, okay, so there's no sugar. Okay, so we're going to, many times, as you say, I came from a political family, but there were many times we drank black tea without sugar. We ate bread without a blue band. There were times we didn't eat bread.
The white bread?
Yes. There were times we didn't even have the bread. There were times we walked to school. I remember during these Saba things, and we were walking because there was no transportation. But then we understood that we are trying to live within our means, our means for this period, because it's the discipline of now so that you avoid the regret of later. But then if we cannot do that on the family level, we can't do it on a national level. So if in the families, we're not keeping...
Paul, with all respect, you are eating ugali for breakfast and some sugarless tea.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, 5 billion has disappeared. And here are the suspects.
Yeah.
It beats the logic, So, like what I've been thinking, if, for instance, we need to restore patriotism, where we say, you know what, the mistake has happened, and if at all you can rectify it because you already know in your heart that you did this, and actually it is hurting people. And there's no point of just you alone winning and becoming, either the richest person or the most influential person across the country, and other people are suffering. And here it goes down even to the health sector. Why don't we say, from today, henceforth, this is not going to happen again? And I'll give you a good example. I don't know if it's the best example, but I'll give you a good example.
Yeah.
Paul Kagame in Rwanda. Yes. The other day we were there and we were talking with some of the guys there. Some of those podcasts will be released.
Yes.
He said that 28 years ago.
Yes.
28 years ago, you go to Rwanda today, you might call him dictator if you want.
See the difference.
You can call him names that you want, but the guy is committed. And he means what he says and he says what he means. The information is all over the internet.
Yeah.
You can go and check for yourself. But when you land in Rwanda, it's a small country.
Yeah.
No debate about that.
Yes.
But can't you even have that small place that we say this is a safe haven for people who actually want to live, the right way. And start from there going upwards? Because, of course, this is not something that we can address within a year or within 10 years that any president is there. But if we start now, there is better future for all of us.